stranger.
I know.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Forever. But I'm
How
here.
are
I always have
Oh, don't worry. You're gonna hear my dog barking at also.
it. It's like hard like to get all the babies out, but the dog, no one would take the dog. So,
And you'll definitely hear Jackson. Forget about it.
yeah,
How are you? How are all those little kiddos?
they're good. They're all out of the house. My
Oh,
dad's actually walking the baby around so that like
you're like, excuse me, Dad, can you please help me? Thank you.
yeah, I'm like
How's everything been though?
I mean, as good as can be. Like it's been really good. It's just been like lots of moving parts and
No,
like everybody. It's like you ask anybody how the like mine's been better than most, you know?
I know. I mean, listen, as long as we're all like healthy and
Yeah.
safe, I guess at
100%.
this point, that's like all you can ask for, really.
Yeah. No, 100%. And like, yeah, it's been definitely, juggling with school. I'm like in
Oh my God.
putting the
The,
school.
the school thing is crazy. Like, I so feel for these at Georgia, brother and sister-in-laws last night, and they have, the two of them are gonna like be having a conversation the entire time. They, one is 12 and the other one is 8. And like, I just said I would fail miserably at learning from home. Like, there's no way that I would have been able to get through school. And
No.
so I imagine for these poor little kids.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like
And
that. But honestly, like we've been able to send them a little bit, so that's been like such
yeah,
like they're starting Monday, so it's good. Why did hold on, I feel like my dad brought him home and I don't know why. Oh my gosh. Okay.
like a day in the life, like real people.
Yeah, real people. I'm like,
Want
why
to
are
go?
you crying? Okay. No, he's good.
All right, so let's get started. Since you're obviously a mom of, I probably need to get back to momming. Some, uh, I guess just to start, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your mom, and we'll go from there.
So, okay. So first, I'll first start with my mom. Her name is Wendy. Let's see, I have like the necklace on. Never take it off. Everyone thinks my name's Wendy, which is
I
really funny, but it makes me really happy.
love mine too.
Yeah, you were. Um, so basically, just she was the best. I don't know what else to say. She was like a lawyer, like super involved, tennis, all the things, like never worried about her health, like everything. And then she like fell off, like mostly, and her stomach was really distended. And she went to the doctor, and they were like, "Oh, you need a hysterectomy. It's fibroids." And then someone was like, "I don't really think that would be fibroids that would do it." And so she got a PET scan, and she had already like a tumor the size of a football between like her back and her kidney.
Oh my
And she was
goodness.
53. And the next day, it's like it all kind of started, but they didn't know what it was
Mm-hmm.
because it was super rare.
Right.
So she just kind of was like, "Oh, I have this tumor and it's going to get taken out and then I'll be fine." That was sort of like the
Like the mental.
narrative back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little did we know it was like
Just
very rare and yeah. So that was sort of, and then after that, it was just like nonstop. She did 9 chemotherapies, like 4 different radiations, 5 like 13-hour surgeries. By the end, she only had one lung and like her heart and were like the only full like organs that hadn't been like either taken out or cut and like in the stomach area. So, but the main thing is that during it, that like her way of coping and being and was that she was just so focused on like staying active and so focused on keeping herself like feeling healthy and like feeling strong. And so like that was like her driving force. She was just like always like, okay, if I can, I'm not my scans, if I can be healthy, if I can, you know. And so I feel like that motivation was so strong in her. And when we were told that she wasn't going to have another option after her first chemo failed, we realized like we need to create Wendy Walk. Like we need to get her another option. Like she can't just die right away. Like what that, you know, I
Like,
always thought,
yeah, you're like, okay, if they don't have an option for us, like we're not gonna throw in the towel. We're her family. Like if anyone cares to get something accomplished, we're gonna figure it out.
yeah, totally. It's like, you know, we're not just gonna exactly like we have to figure it out. Like there's a charity for so many things. Like we have to get one too. Like this is insane. Like I don't know. You probably had this experience, but like I always thought like, okay, you get cancer, there's this treatment, there's that treatment. Like you try it out, you know? I didn't realize that something like this, there could literally just be if one option doesn't work, you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
So that's what made my siblings and I be like, we have to find something. So we just like rallied and got all our friends and all our family, and we were just like, okay, um, we have to make this happen. And so we created Wendy Walk to try and find her a cure, and we didn't, but we ended up at least, you know, giving her like such a purpose and giving so much awareness
Yeah.
and like a reason to live. And we've since helped so many people. It just, she knew like we weren't going to get it in time for her.
Right. At least was like, I mean, listen, for somebody to be in that type of shape, like you said, with one lung and every part of her body had been, you know, cut into and organs had been either like pieces removed or full organs removed, to still like have that zest for life and that fighting spirit and wanting to stay active and go on walks and do all of the things. It's just
Yeah.
a testament to the type of person that she was, because most people would have curled up into a ball and just said, you know, I
Yeah, like there's
feel
nothing.
like it, like I'm done.
Yeah. And I'll say like sometimes it's hard for me even like facing things with my life or if there's health issues or whatever it is, little things, because I'm like, God, my mom handled so much. Like it
Mhm.
was so much, so intense. Like she just never complained. And it's like I feel guilty for sometimes it's like not wanting to do something if I'm nauseous or I'm not feeling
Yeah.
well. Like how she functioned
Yeah.
with her symptoms, so I don't even understand, you know?
No, the Wendy Walk is amazing. I have personally gone
You're such a good supporter. Thank you.
walk, but tell us like, I mean, I know you've helped so many different people, but I also just want to hear, you know, I've never spoken to you really in depth about like your process and how you and your sister and your brother sort of like coped and what it was like.
Yeah, like after her death.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so kind of like your experience going through it and like what helped you cope and what kind of got you through it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. First of all, I think this is so good that you're doing this. I think like not enough people talk about um death and like what happens after. And I think like the misconception is like once somebody dies, like let's say a parent, like that's the worst moment. And
Yeah.
then after a few months, like things start to heal over and life can get going. And I think that that makes every person who this happens to feel like, wait, why isn't that my experience? Like, why am I still so depressed? And it's been a year. Like, why can't I stop sleeping? Like, you know? And it's because this, like, idea that we're supposed to just get over it once enough time has passed. So I guess, but so I just want to say, I think it's so amazing that you're talking about this every week. But basically, I would say we each cope differently, which is also something about grief that like I'm sure people have talked about is that it's not like a one um all the
Everyone.
kids, yeah. Like, oh, we all had the same mom, so we all can feel the same way about it. It's
Doesn't.
more, yeah, it's more like you know, for some people, like staying busy is, um, so for some people, staying busy is like the only way. And for others, it's like they want to just sleep in their room. And I feel like something with my siblings was like, and we went to our house group support center, my
Yeah.
brother and I did.
Yeah.
And specifically, they didn't want us in the same grief group because they
Yeah.
said that, like, it's literally like you grieves, each sibling grieves differently. And it's actually like problematic to expect that you would be able to bond over the way you're grieving.
Pause, because my brother and I, even during my dad's illness, like when he was really sick at the end, like there was a day that my brother like went and played golf while I was like running around frantically picking up medications for my dad, and I was so angry at him.
Mm-hmm.
Play golf, but like if I ask him about it now, he would say, "Listen, like I just needed to clear my head. Like I needed to be removed from the situation
Mm-hmm.
for a second." And it's like I can't judge him for that, and he can't judge me for what I was doing because we were just dealing with it in our own completely different ways.
Totally how we dealt with it. Like, I actually, my sister's on, so she's probably laughing, but I remember like when my mom died, it was like, we got to do the Wendy walk. Like, we got to keep it going. It's like her, it's like the only chance. And like, my sister was only 17, and I was like, you need to go back to Miami and you need to like get the Wendy walk going. And you need, that's the way we're going to cope. Like, that's the way we're going to do it. And it was just like this idea, like, you can't stop, you can't breathe, you know? But I would say for me, Wendy Walk was a huge part of it, like sharing my experience with others. And like I had such a good support group, you know? Like I was so lucky that, you know, I had people to talk to, but I would say my brother also like threw himself into his work and but like we were open, we talked about it. It was really the dynamic change with my dad when my
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah, how because it's always such like an interesting thing when you almost feel like you become, well, I lost my dad, so it was the reverse, but like worrying about my mom, she was so, codependent on my dad because they had been together for so long. But like with your dad, I mean, it's just such a different experience.
Yeah, I've heard it's interesting. I've heard from people who have lost their dad, like they were worried about their mom, and that's very stressful on its own. I felt like this idea that, like, you're my dad, you should be strong and take care of me. And he just couldn't. He was like a totally broken person after my mom died, and I couldn't understand that. So it made me like very resentful of him.
Yeah.
Um, and in talking to other people that have lost their mom, I I know that like I know I'm not alone. That's why it's so important to like have the conversation. But you think you are. You know, I thought like, oh, now that my mom's gone, like we're gonna be his, like he's gonna feel so bad, like he's gonna be double the parent that he was
Yeah.
before. And
Just
instead he was like a fourth of the parent he was
yeah.
before. You know?
Yeah. 'Cause again, like he was dealing with his own grief. It's like, yeah, and even with like my mom, I felt, you probably felt this way to some degree also, but I felt like guilty being sad in front of her.
That's so interesting.
I didn't want to like put that additional burden on her. So like I really wouldn't cry in front of her. Like I wouldn't get emotional in front of her. I kept it like very like because I just didn't want to add to like her broken heart anymore than it already was. And it probably wasn't necessarily the best thing because, it's healthy. It's super cathartic. Oop, did you freeze?
I'm back, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's so weird the way that you like do things thinking it's going to be helpful, but then you like years later, like that was just not helpful.
yeah, like I could have, but the truth is like the sad part is like talking about it with your mom like may have not helped you. Like that's the thing that's it just now, like 8 years later, it's comfortable to talk about it with
Yeah.
my dad. You know, like I'll say like, "Oh, I saw a sign from mom," because I'm really into like signs. That's the
Me,
main reason for the few people that might be on that don't like know me really is like that's probably my biggest coping mechanism like years out is I'm really believe that like our relationship didn't die
ooh,
with
tell me about your signs because you probably know about mine. I talk about them on here all the
um it's just like so many different things. It's like silly things like mini Great Poodles like Paula, you know.
Uh,
But also just like crazy stuff happens. Like she visits like my friend Becca in like her dreams. And because she knows like Becca will tell me because we talk about that. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
she like just little like I'll be struggling about something and I will like hear like one night she like opined on it in a dream and I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like one thing I think is like everyone says it, but songs like
Yeah.
I was starting grad school and I was like really like, oh, is this worth it? It was like my first night. I was so anxious driving there. And I don't know, I just had like so many thoughts like, why are you doing this? You have kids, like are you even gonna like make a career out of this? You're old, like all those self-defeating thoughts, you know? And anyways, the point is like her favorite song was like Bittersweet Symphony
And
by The
that,
Verb. And like it's not a pop, it's not on.
no.
And literally those thoughts were running and like second song that came on my way to school. And I was like, she's saying that like this is good, you're on the right path.
Oh, I just got the chills. I love hearing that.
Like what's one that happened
Well,
to you that
the craziest thing that just happened the other day, and I'll tell you about it because it literally just happened and I'm sitting in the room. So my mom started finding dimes, and then I started finding. My brother never found them, and it's always like super obvious, and they're always just like in weird places, and it's literally never a quarter, never a nickel, never a penny. It's only ever dime. So the most recent one was on my dad's birthday. We had just gotten back to LA and we were sort of rearranging our second bedroom to make more space so that we can use it as a real office as opposed to just.
mm-hmm.
So we were like, my boyfriend and I were literally like picking up the bed, moving it against the wall, like whatever. And I'm like, the neurotic Jew was like, let me vacuum. I don't want to leave dust on the floor if we're going to move things. So I literally vacuumed the entire room. There was not a thing on the floor. It was completely clean. And then there's like two tables. I'm looking at them right now next to the bed. And on one of them, like a candle, a picture of my parents that was there. And that was it. There's like a chair in the corner. And then I left the room after a while and my boyfriend was like organizing his desk and getting things. Oh yeah, Mimi, you having twins. Okay.
Yeah.
But he goes, Romy, come in here. You're not going to believe this. So I like come in and literally right below the picture on the table next to the bed, right directly on the ground.
See,
And
that's
I'm like, where did that I literally just vacuumed. Like, where did that come from? So now I put that aside because that to me is like one of the most special ones I've ever found, and I'm gonna make a piece of jewelry out of it.
yes, no, I think it's just like, look, you can choose to believe like whatever you want, and everyone has like that's insane that one.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I, it's like I don't know. For me, like I make the choice to be like, okay, I could choose to say like, oh no, that dime is just like there, or actually be like, no, you know, like, and I don't know. I've just followed enough people and read enough to know that like actually like it's not crazy.
It's
You know?
not. I mean, I've read stuff also, and like I talk about this every time I talk to someone on here about something. It's like energy cannot die, and energy
Hmm.
forever. So just because they're not physically here does not mean that their energy is always around. And I don't know, somehow my dad sneaks dimes and like drops them when nobody's looking, and it's super weird.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like he's there. And yeah, Mimi said, so basically I like, and then we're talking about grief. There's like lots of forms of it. So this is a super common one that I also don't think enough people talk about is like I had a miscarriage before I had the twins and I was lucky it was early, but it didn't matter. Like early, not early, it like happens and you're so like upset, you know? And everyone kept saying to me like it will like you'll look back and you'll kind of realize like that you weren't meant to have this child or this or that. I don't know. I didn't understand any of it and I still don't understand that at the time. But the crazy part is when I did get pregnant again, and I was like really really upset. Like I mean the whole experience is like this crazy loss and it like triggered the feelings of loss from before, right? So it was like I'm it's like I felt like that horrible feeling again of like you can't get something back and you lost,
Yeah.
anyways. So when I got pregnant again, I went to the like for the 6 weeks because they all see you early after a miscarriage, and there was two. And like I was my mom's first pregnancy and we were twins. And like being twins was, anyone who knows me, is like such a it's like such a me like a quality that like I am like so close with Matt, and my mom was like,
Very part of you, who you are as a
yeah,
person.
so who I am. So I don't know, like something about it was like that soul, and like her like being like helping me like replace that loss and be like, here's two. And I don't know, the whole thing, that on like a bigger level is one of
Yeah.
those ones that you're like,
Wow.
even my OB was like, he thought it was a little nuts when I told, like he did the ultrasound. I was like, oh, my mom did that, and he was like, okay.
You're like, no, but really, it sprinkled like a little like
Yeah.
magic fairy.
So I think that really helps. Like you can't tell people to like believe, and it took me a while that this like idea had really evolved over time. Like when I was in my grief group right after, I didn't really believe in um like signs necessarily and things like that. I would kind of, and it's like it's a relationship that I built over time.
Well, it's almost like, of course, you want there to be signs because it just makes you feel like they really are still there. It's
Yeah.
like a whole thing that you can say, like, okay, I got that. But when you start receiving signs, like, you can't deny them. That's the thing. Like, even my boyfriend now is like, that was weird. Like,
Right?
I'm like, it could be for you. It could be from your it doesn't necessarily mean it's my dad. Like, someone is dropping the
Is
dime.
dropping them. And I think once they know that you're like a person that can, like, one more that I'll say, because I mean, it's like a lot of people are on this that I just, okay, so Lily, Wendy Walk, our like director of programs, she's amazing. She's on this. Her dad died like very recently. And Lily always shared with me how he's like addicted to Alabama, like the football team, like
Okay.
obsessed, obsessed. And like their family had to like always watch it. It was like one of those things where it was like such his thing, such their things. Anyways, I didn't have like an independent relationship with him, like nothing. I don't watch football, nothing, nothing. I went on the funeral, and then I went and took a walk, and on my street, like across the street from my house, was a huge pickup truck that I've never seen before with a license plate that just said "Go Bama."
Okay. See
And the
that?
thing is like Lily's on this. It's like only because I'm the person that is 100% gonna tell.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, I
To send the sign, you have to send
yeah,
people like accept it, and then there's
yeah. She's saying we had to high five in a specific order. We still high five in a spot on the couch. See, like how would I know? Like that. So, anyways, so sorry we got off topic on like
no.
signs.
I'll tell you one more thing because this is like also a weird one about like someone sending a sign to me, like knowing that it may, I don't know. So one of my friends years ago lost his mom, and him and I at the time were just sort of becoming friends. We weren't as close as we had ultimately become, but we were good friends. And I remember, going to the funeral, going to the Shiva. I had never met his mom. I had heard so much about her from him and other people. And I don't know, for whatever reason, like shortly thereafter, I had this very vivid dream, and it was her and I in the dream, and she was telling me like that she bought him like all this stuff, like clothes and stuff, but she was hiding it like in the laundry closet, like above, so that like he didn't know. But she was like, just so you know, like this is where I'm hiding all of it. And it took me a little while because again, I wasn't super close with him at the time, so I didn't want to like
Freak
come
him
off
out.
cuckoo. But I gotta tell you something. And I told him this dream, and this day, he was like, I never believed in signs and that kind of stuff until you told me that dream. Because never in a million years, like, could you have known that my mom would have done those things? Like, that was so very
Yeah.
to her. And like, it had to have been her because where would you have come up with that? You never met her.
No, it's I'm I really
People are
think
off of this and they're going to be like, these girls are cuckoo.
Yeah, they need, yeah, like they like need to, but like, no, I think that I, I don't know. Look, my sister said, wow, no, it's like, I don't know. I'm slowly like convincing everyone or, or like they already are obsessed with like this, but I just really, I don't know, I believe in it. But yeah, I think that, but I also think that, yeah, signs give peace, but I also like know one of my friends I was talking to last night who she's like, that'd be amazing to think like she lost her mom. Like that'd be amazing to think like that, but I just don't. I still love my mom and think about her all the time, but like I don't like that's not true, or something. And that's okay. Like everybody should have their own.
Exactly. Listen, not everyone is going to believe in it. And like I said, until she might one day get like something that's too obvious and too weird. And
Yeah.
then like you said, that's totally fine. But I always love talking about them because they're just too like crazy to not
Yeah,
acknowledge.
so is like there anything else that people like you like to ask people or like anything else you want or you want to yak about before?
Before you have to tell children.
No, I don't have to. I just want to make sure I'm not like taking up too much
No,
time on the signs freaking me.
I don't know. I don't really like to ask like super specific questions. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of be like a natural conversation.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you
Yeah,
know.
like whatever you think. Like I think it's interesting for people to hear about our also just because I didn't do it. I was introduced to somebody there, had a conversation with them, and for me, I don't know if it was just that I had, because my dad got sick and passed away so quickly, I didn't think that I could just sit in a group and just like rehash
Hmm.
that. For me, it felt like just too much. I needed like a break from all of it. But
Yeah.
I hindsight wish that I would have done it because I've just heard incredible things. So I feel like that's a good thing for people to hear about because it's such a
Yeah.
program. And sometimes when you feel alone and there's nothing that or people, it's hard to find people to talk to. That's like a great outlet.
Yeah. I would say the actual like participating in the group was like not that amazing. It was like to be like doing the training and becoming a facilitator.
Okay.
That was the best part for me, really. But the hardest part about that, if like anyone's interested, so there's basically this organization called Our House that offers like grief support for all different ages, per people that died, whoever it is. And I've done two groups of like 18 to 24-year-olds who lost a parent. And it's so hard because you're not allowed to disclose anything about yourself.
Oh, that is.
So sometimes it was hard for me because like I'd see my story exactly in somebody and they'd say like it's never going to get better, like life is just this is life now. Like it's lost all its happy kind, like
And you're
like I wanted to say like no, like I know what you're feeling, but like you will be happy again. Like I swear you'll have happy moments, but it's like you can't, but that's part of it is like at the journey, like at the outset of the journey, like of somebody dealing with someone who died, it's like they have to feel however they feel. Like nobody can say like, you remember, like be happy or you'll be happy, I promise, or you just
yeah.
need to go out or, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You kind of just go through it.
Yeah, that's like really the only way.
Okay, tell me about your boys. So obviously you named one for your mom.
Yeah. Um, okay, so Winston, like I was like, okay, I have to have a W name, like obviously from like before I thought I'd have kids, that was always like something I was gonna do. Um, and then when I was pregnant, they like thought he had all these issues, like high drops, if anybody knows what that is, or like different possible like genetic conditions. And I had to wait for like my CVS test to come back at like 15 weeks to confirm whether or not it was like a viable pregnancy.
Hi.
But the point of the story is when I found out he was healthy and like it was all, I was like, okay, this one is getting the
Yeah.
W. Like, what a fighter, you know? And don't worry, my grandma, who I'm also obsessed with, is Rita, her mom. And so Riders, it's not like he didn't get like special
Yeah.
treatment. But But yeah, so that was like really important to me. And something, yeah, is really important if anyone lost a parent or lost, a close family member and has young kids, like I feel like my twins know her. Like
That's
it's weird, but to say that I do.
how do you keep her memory alive with them? Because it is like I always think about that. I'm like, oh my goodness, like the fact that my dad won't be here to like ever know.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, it definitely sucks. It's like at the end of the day, they can see as many pictures as they want. They can think she's magic. They can think she's this, but like, she's not the one like giving them ice cream. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's like always the physical they're going to miss. But I'd say like I started early with like these little like soft picture albums in the crib. And it was like, it's Grandma Wendy. And then every night I would do like, good night, mommy, good night, daddy, like everyone. And I would do, good night, Grandma Wendy. I would just like
Include her.
include her. And like anytime we did stories, like as I got older, like it would be like, okay, I'm going, let's say there was this one story that my husband always used to tell about like this airplane, and we would pick up Grandpa, and we would pick up Auntie Jay, and we would pick up Uncle, like all the people. And we'd always pick up Grandma Wendy too. It's like she was always included as if she was like we always include her in like the
Everything.
family. Yeah.
Well, because she is.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so actually this is really funny. Like people will laugh, I think, is that I've now they understand the concept of like magic. That's like a big thing for them. So I try and explain that like that's kind of Grandma Wendy. Like you can't see her, like you don't know, but
She's there.
she's there and she like helps protect you, and she's in the stars or she's whatever and she's magic. And I and then it's like obviously you want them to have like some big moment of like, oh my God, like the stars. Anyways, so Winston was in the bathroom and he was going potty, and the toilet, like the auto toilet, flushed.
Goes, it's Grandma Wendy.
Yeah. And I was like, literally, I don't care what it is, but like the fact that you made that connection is everything.
I was just gonna say the fact that he like correlated like that's amazing.
And he thought it was so excited. He was so excited. He was like, whoa, it's magic. It's Grandma Wendy. Like, yeah,
That
Jay's dying. It was so amazing.
that is amazing. Wait, I love that. That's the cutest thing I've ever
So
heard.
yeah, and actually I know like Mimi's on here. And one thing you told me once, Mim, was that like you always knew about your grandma. Like it, because no matter what, because your mom lost her mom young, is like she was still like a person for like she was a figure in your life. And that's kind of like what I want is like I know they're not gonna know her, but I want them to like have her be like a part of like their story,
Yeah.
to the point where like if someone asks like who's your grandma, like they'll know like, oh, my mom's mom, like she died, but like her name's what, like.
I think that's so important. I think that's really nice that you've made the effort because I do. I think it's just one of those things that like they should know where they came from, and they should also know that your mom was an incredible person and also just like a fighter and a strong
Mhm.
person.
Like I like work it in, you know. Yeah, see, look what Mimi said.
Yeah, you
So
literally your grandma, like identical twin.
so I like work it in. Like they're into tennis now. And like we'll be watching like tennis at the park and just like randomly, not like in a creep, because kids, if you do it like too much, they're gonna be like this woman, like I don't want to know. Like mom, chill. But like we're in the park and they're like, oh my God. And I was like, who was so good at tennis? They were like, who? I was like, she always won. Because like they're so into winning. I'll be like,
Yeah.
Grandma Wendy, like she would play tennis here. And like they smile and think that's like so cool.
So
So I
cool.
try and like relate it to
That's
whatever they're.
I'm sure you do an amazing job.
So I don't know, that's that. And sometimes, like, to be honest, with Archer, the youngest one, I'm like a little tired. I'm like, oh, should I bother with it? Is it weird to like start that with him and like be talking about her all the time? It's like I kind of like feel like, you go back and forth, like, is it just like too much? But then I'm like, wait, I want him to know about her too. I don't know. It's just interesting.
He'll grow up and be like, the twins know about some lady named Wendy. Who's Wendy?
Yeah, it's like I need to, and it's interesting, like when they meet, oh, Leslie's on. It's like yeah, when they meet like my mom's friends or something, like I notice if I put it in the context of like this is Grandma Wendy's friend, or this is like, I don't know, something about them, just like their souls. I swear they kind of know.
I don't know. I feel like kids are weird. They like see and hear things. Acts, here we go again, being weird, but like they just know things. They have sixth senses, kids.
Yeah.
But they also have such amazing imagination. So like if
Hmm.
they understand or come up with something that's like happy and like
Yeah.
can't see and physically be with, it would be kids.
So, and like sometimes I cry, like I'm not gonna lie, like there's times where they'll come home from my dad's and he has a girlfriend and they'll say like,
Mm.
or they'll see a picture. Like one time, I can't even say this out loud, but because I feel like my sister's gonna freak out. But if this ever helps anybody, I'm gonna say this. So there was a picture of my dad and his girlfriend like a while ago, and they said, I said, "Who's that?" And they both said, "Cece." Sorry, a picture of my dad and my mom. And
Okay. Oh,
they
God, that,
both said Cece. And like
yeah.
I could cry. It was just like such like a stab, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh my God, she doesn't know them, or she know like they're never gonna meet her, and now like them
This,
saying that just made it so like Nellie knows. I like had to go in the other room. It was just like
it's also,
so
I
harsh.
mean, I swear my mom's on here, so I mean, she won't be mad. She probably true. But like there's something about like this the person who sort of filled your other parent's void, even though they'll never be your parent and the relationship
Mhm.
will never be the same. Like the fact that they get to be there for certain things and like experience the things that your parents were supposed to experience, like it just kind of makes you like they could be the nicest person in the world. They could. Are you there? Does it work?
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
heard everything. It's like the most awful part.
But you kind of like I don't want to say resent them because that feels just like a little extreme, but like you always kind of are just like, why are you here? Getting to like,
Yeah.
I literally said to my mom, this is horrible, but like she has a significant other, and like I joke, but I'm not joking, and I'm like, you better really decide like if you like this guy. It's been like 3 years, 3.5 years, because if you don't, and I get engaged and have a wedding, I don't like him in my pictures
Hmm.
like 5 years from now exist because like dad should be there and he can't be there. So like this guy shouldn't get to be there if dad can't be there, type of thing.
100%. I mean, she wasn't in any pictures at my wedding. I'm just like saying. I'm very like spiritual and loving and all those things, but I'll like call myself out on this in front of everyone when it comes to my dad's new partner. I go to like a lower place. Like it's very hard for me. It's
Yeah,
very hard for me.
yeah, it's
Uh,
hard. And that's like I've never actually touched on this with anyone on here. So,
it's a huge part of it. When you said like
oh,
what's
you're
something you want people to know, that's what part of the aftermath that nobody talks about is like the friends fall off, like your family friends stop checking on you as much, like your like financials, like all those things, and then this on top of that. And people they just talk about the emotional part of losing their parent and not the rest of the story.
well, that's what I always talk about. And to answer your question, I know your sister, was she receptive? I would say like in a joking like she like joked it, laughed it off. She was like, "Oh, Romy, like don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Okay." But like I know that if I really said to her like he's not going to be in any pictures, he's definitely not walking in down an aisle. Like she would love it, and I think she probably would be in a it would be hard for her because she would want my dad to be there, not him. But then I guess better than being alone. I don't really know. But to answer what we were just saying is that, yeah, I think people think like the person passes away. And once you get over like the grief of them passing away, you're like suddenly fine. But you literally like grieve every aspect of your life, whether
Hmm.
trip that you used to go on annually, no longer do, like a vacation home you had that you no longer have, a new relationship in your parents' life that now makes it like really awkward or difficult for you to interact with them the same way that you used to, or the way that you used to interact with them when you were a couple. Because
That's such a good way of putting it. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
all those things. You're right. Like the trip, the
Dad and his girlfriend, do they live together?
yeah, they live together and um yeah. So, I mean, look, it's like a part of moving on. And the thing is, everyone older will say, like, you don't want your dad to be alone.
Yeah,
You don't want your dad. It's like, of course, I don't want him to be alone. That's not the point. It's
I
just all
it's okay.
the other emotions, you
It's
know?
fine. You want them to be happy. You don't ever want anyone to be alone, especially a parent. But there is this line of like, but I also want you to only be with like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like somebody once said this was just interesting. It's like when you're a child of somebody that dies, it's like you have no interest in moving on, right? Like, what does it do for you? Nothing. Like, you would stay in the past forever.
yeah,
Like, I just could have my, like, in this crystal ball of what it was. But it's like for the partner,
yeah,
that's not helpful, you
yeah,
know? So that's where, like, it just, you kind of like cross wires a little bit with grieving because like they can't do that because that's not living, but we can.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. Your parent never feels like home again. Yeah, it's just it's like because they kind of almost lose a part of themselves that they had because they were with somebody for so long. They sort of like conform to a new, I mean, yeah, every relationship brings out like a personality trait or personality traits within you that you don't know that you have. And like when you're with someone for so long and then that person leaves and you end up being in a relationship with someone else, you're automatically gonna, I don't want to say completely change, but they're going to be that didn't exist in the previous relationship that are going to come.
Mhm.
And for your kids who have been used to you one way for their entire lives, they're going to be
Yeah.
like, that's interesting.
Yeah, like what's that? Like, oh my God, Archie. I think I have like 5 more minutes because I can
Okay.
hear him with
Okay.
screaming. Is there
Okay.
anybody that has like any questions for you guys? I don't know. I'm
I
curious.
specific questions for yourselves, or do you want us to just keep talking? Or if you really have to go, you can totally go. I mean, we covered a lot of interesting
No,
things.
I have like 2 minutes.
Let me ask you this. So, did your husband meet your mom? No.
Yes, he
Yeah.
did, which I feel really lucky for
Yeah.
because I know that doesn't have that's like one of the hardest parts. But
Yeah.
my sister and brother, their people didn't meet my mom,
Yeah, it's tough.
right? Like you just I can't imagine like that's one thing is like I feel super lucky.
How
Like
were you guys together before your mom passed away?
like about a year.
Okay,
So
so he
he got like a
oh,
lot. And then it was like the day before she died, she was in hospice and they never had an alone conversation. And
is that when
he,
he
he stayed, yeah, and asked her. And I made him tell me about it again the other day. We were
tell
together.
tell us about that and then I'll let you go because I feel like that's so that's just like I love him.
So first of all, he's really awkward with like sick people and like dying and everything. You know, most people
I
like
was
are
just
like I made him lie in bed next to my mom when she was on the oxygen machine in hospice, and I think he was like, "Wait, this is like I feel bad looking back." But anyways,
yeah.
the point of the story is that like things were really bad and he was really scared. But he said to her like, she said, "Everybody leave. I'm really tired," and he stayed. And I guess the gist of it was that he said like, "I just want you to know I'm gonna like take care of your daughter." And like I love her so much or something. And my mom, like people who knew her, was not overly like affectionate. I wouldn't say she was overly affectionate. She was like you really had to, she wasn't gonna throw out like the love yas.
Yeah.
Anyways, point of the story is that she just like grabbed his hand and all he said was like, "I love you."
I'm
And that
crying.
was it. And
I'm
then he left and
she passed. And
yeah,
I'm
the next day.
crazy. I'm crying. Um I can't. Um, I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's also like she probably felt like this huge sense of relief because I know, like, sorry, I
No,
don't cry. I'm actually really good at not crying.
No, this is like, it's like we're at lunch, but we're
I
not. Yeah.
need to go to lunch when we can,
Yeah.
but I just feel like that's part of like any parent, like sick or not sick. Like their number one priority is to know that their kids are taken care of and to just know that they don't have to worry. So the fact that that happened the day before she passed, I
Yeah.
just felt like at peace and that she could go knowing that you guys would be okay.
And like that he knew that that would make her feel good, like makes me, because he didn't tell me. We didn't get engaged for a year after that.
Oh
And
my,
the last thing I want to leave people with in case anyone like
I'm just make sure we didn't miss anything.
um this idea of like a lot of people I know struggle with like if they lose a parent and like something good's happening in their life at that same time, like they're happy in their marriage or they're getting jobs or whatever it is. It's like how can you be happy and grieving at the same time? But I have a friend that literally just lost her dad to COVID like a month ago or 3 weeks ago. And when I saw her the other day, she said it's so weird because she's been looking for like a relationship for so long. She's like, I'm finally in a good relationship. And and like her dad was in a construction business, and now because she's the only one, she has to take over the business. And this guy that she found happens to be in the construction business. Like it's everything. And it happened like simultaneously. And I was like, I told her, I said, this isn't like oh, this is so weird that this is happening. Like your dad like picked this for you. So you don't have to feel guilty that like the good is happening with the bad, you
Like
know?
this for you, he sent it to you, like he wants you to be happy and it'll be okay, and like this is how he made it happen.
100%. It's like so sad that like it can't exist at the same time. But I used to say to my husband, like, I feel that my mom, it was like you guys did like an exchange, which
Yeah,
is like so sad to say because like, why can't there just be both? But
I
it's
know.
like you can't be greedy. I don't know. I just feel like it's interesting. And I just like think everyone on here, like everyone has just been like so, I don't know. I say this so much, but like I just feel like the love around my mom's illness and post is just the best thing that ever happened in this whole thing. So I just appreciate everyone so much.
Is that your brother saying,
I
talk
don't
about,
know. For some reason, I can't see it. What is
oh,
it?
well, first said, does a partner ever love the parent's partner? Is there any vested interest? I can say
Hmm.
that my boyfriend gets along with my mom's. I call him her man friend because I don't know like what to call him. He gets along with him. I mean, like they don't like talk on the phone and have like their own like special relationship, which I would hope he would have had with my dad. Like they could have chatted and like been friends, but yeah, he's like, friendly with him when we see them and things like that. So that's my answer for that. And then he said, talk about how mom needed to hear we were going to be okay to let go.
Oh yeah. So my brother Matt was in like a really bad, working for a really like awful person at the time when my mom was passing. And like obviously that was like her baby boy. Like she wanted him to be okay. And it was so interesting because the hospice nurse the last day was actually really amazing. And for some reason I remember her saying to my brother when he was in there, because he was being so strong for her, um, tell her that you're going to be okay. Tell her that everything's going to be okay. And he like told her, and he said, even with the job, mom, and he like named the guy. I forgot who the boss was. That was crazy at the time. But he said, like, this is going to be okay. And it was crazy. It's like, that's what she was waiting
Yeah,
for
she needed
that.
one of you. She knew you were going to be okay because she basically got asked for her blessing. And then your, brother said, I'm going to be okay. Like, even if this guy is treating me like a piece of shit, like, don't worry, I've got this, mom.
Yeah,
And then,
like it's like she didn't want to go, right? It's like, how do you leave your kids without knowing?
not that specific, he said.
No, Matt, it was. I'm telling
We
you. It was the
going,
guy from Ocean 41.
we said we were going with her.
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah. I do remember we all like the night she passed, like while she passed, like three of us were in bed with her like all night, putting on like Marianne Williamson meditations. And I remember in the morning thinking she might be better because her breathing had like um, calmed. She was like having really a hard time getting any breath in the whole night.
Hmm.
And so we were kind of like, it was that weird, if you're like really sick and have cough all night and then in the morning you feel better. And I had some weird thing like, oh, the antibiotics worked. I don't know what. But then I saw all like her friends crying, like looking into the door. But it was just that she had like started the transition, which I didn't know. And now it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But so we essentially, like the three of us, like held her as she transitioned, which is like really beautiful. But I couldn't be in the room when she died. My sister was, but I was really scared to be like physically there.
Oh man.
So that's like kind of heavy, but this is what it's about. The
Listen, it is. And like, here I go again. Okay, what today? Oh God. No, it's just like,
Yeah, like what were you like that right after and
I mean, my dad wasn't at home. He was in the hospital in hospice. And we also like when they moved him from ICU into hospice, they had like removed all the tubes, the breathing machine, everything. And he actually looked the best he looked in like a while. And I jokingly said to my mom, I was like, should we just like wheel him back into the ER and like start all over again and like pretend it's gonna happen? But I remember just telling them like I need to be with him and hold his hand and not let go until he passed. And so I went with the nurses in the elevator and held his hand the whole way. And they did take him to like get him settled in the room, and we had to wait like 15 minutes, whatever. And we went in and like we all held on to like some part of him, like his foot, his hand, his whatever. And I just think like this is what's going to make me so sad for like you, me, anyone who has been there when somebody was, passing, is that to know that, because it's rough thing to see, but to know that like they played such a role in your life, that you love them that much, that
yeah.
you were able to like put yourself in a position to make sure that they knew how much you love them and that you were going to be there for them, to just make sure that they went knowing that they were surrounded by people who they love so much. I just think
Yeah.
that's a testament to anybody who's gone through this. And because it sucks, it's like nothing anybody should ever have to see, but
Yeah.
it's
No, you're amazing. Like
no, you
that's,
are you kidding me? Listen, it's not a competition, but
but
what you
no, I know it's not. But my question is like, so were you there, like actually when they told you that he had died?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like with your mom, like, they sort of just become like very peaceful. And I guess, like, I'm not a doctor, but like, it seems like the breathing slowly starts to like less breaths per minute. And, you know, my mom took a call coincidentally, like someone called. And I don't know if it's because we were all distracted or whatever the case was, but he like took a breath. And then I like looked over and I was like, Mom, I was like, I think that was it. I think he stopped breathing, and then he took one more breath, and then that was it. And we all just sort of sat there, and I was just like, what the fuck? Excuse my language.
Gosh. Yeah.
And I remember like putting my head on his chest and like hugging him. And I think my brother, who surprisingly is like in the medical field, and so he's like much more scientific and understands everything, like he was freaked out. And then my aunt was with us also. And I just remember like my mom wanted a minute or two just alone with him. So we left her in the room and we went into the hallway. And like, I don't even know if I cried, because I think I was just like in shock.
Yeah.
You were
I
like,
yeah, I know. It's like it's the stuff that like I feel like you never really talk about with people, but like I don't know, even like the well, whatever. I just remember being like up all night, being like, what's gonna happen to her now? Like, are they gonna handle her carefully? And that, like, I'm saying it's really intense, but like, if you, it's good to know that like if this happens to you with someone you love, like these are the thoughts that like you have, and it's not, you know, um, it's like I Jay, what it? And then your boyfriend is like, why do you have anxiety? LOL. Oh my God. I'm obsessed.
And this is why I like have the worst anxiety of like any human being, and like health anxiety.
Health
Ugh.
anxiety.
Oh, forget it. We know too. You guys know more than I do, especially because you're involved in like Wendy Walk that does so much research. But like when you spend that much time in a hospital, like you are a doctor by the end. I shit you not. Like I was like, I don't want to know about any of this. Like once it's all over, like erase it from my mind. But sadly, it has not been erased from my mind. Now I'm just like
you remember everything, but like it fades. And I don't know, I guess like before I have to go, like, is there something that like helped you the most? Like what helped you the most?
you know, it's hard like in hindsight to look back and say what most. I know that staying home and like helping my mom and making sure she was settled like gave me a really big sense of relief. And I came back to LA and also had, you know, great friends and a great support system who kept me busy and like, you know, went hiking with me, went on walks. I said on the last one, like one thing that was really helpful for me is that I would go to Franklin Canyon and hike by myself a lot. And I would just myself to listen to really sad music and just cry. And it was just like, you know, the adrenaline of like forcing yourself to like get up the mountain and like the sad music, like where you could just come down and cry. I just felt like I just cried it all out. And, you know, I mean, it is what it is.
No,
but like,
time is like really important.
but you and your siblings, listen, like I was saying, it's not a competition, but like you guys went through a lot with your mom. It was a long journey for her to, you know, from her diagnosis to her passing, and the guys accomplished in that time, and the support that you gave her, and what you've done with Wendy Walk, raising over $4 million, which is no easy feat. And so, like, your mom would be so, so, so proud of you guys. I mean, she is proud of you guys. You just continue to, you know, honor her in such an amazing way through, you know, your new family and Wendy Walk. The people love her.
You're so loving. Thank you so much. And you guys also, like, you know, I'm addicted. So she can make anything into, this was my mom's license signature. So it's like her official, but it's her signature because she was one of those signatures where it's like, it was exactly her name. But
a stamp that my dad used to use to sign checks and prescriptions in his office.
yeah, so if you contact Romy, because like, and it's lasted forever, by the way.
It's not but I'm so happy to virtually chat with you. Hopefully I'll get to see you. I'm always walk, so if you need to take a stroll, let me know.
Yeah, I will. And like we can, now that we've kind of like talked about all this, we can like really get like even more deep in.
Like talked about this.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about like when your dad was really sick. Like we talked, but it's not like we weren't like, where were you when he died? Like how was, like that's the stuff that like you really are afraid. I feel like it's scary to talk about, but then after you're like, wow, that was amazing that I could share that with someone, you know? So I'm squeezing you, and thanks everyone for logging in and just for always loving me and my mom and everyone, you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We hope we didn't freak you all out a little too much on a Sunday night, but
Sunday scaries.
Ooh, and Allie, I'm gonna save this here, and then I'm gonna also upload it to YouTube, like for people who don't have access, and if you need to use it at all for Wendy Walk.
Oh, perfect. No, I definitely will, because it's one of those things where like so many of my friends have like the kids without anyone helping on Sunday, so I know they couldn't come on, but they are like gonna want to see it. So
I'll text it to you tomorrow. I'll upload it.
Perfect.
Okay. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you.